Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It is Marvel Monday. I am your host, Mark Valentine, host of this Diz Life podcast, as we welcome, as always, our all-star panel back to the show. Welcoming back to the show. It was so nice. We asked him to do it twice. Tonight, Markie Mark from the United We Fan podcast. I like it. So, guys, I had to throw the name tags up right away. And welcome to my co-host Bryan with a Y from United We Fan as well. Always riding shotgun with me here at Marvel Monday. And then rounding out our all-star panel, Bryan with an I from Mouse Ears and Magic. And the one, the only, the man of the people, the Wolf from the Wolf and Wookiee Walt Disney World podcast. Gentlemen, welcome to Monday. Welcome to all of you that join us on Monday to get your daily dose of Marvel. We wait all weekend for this. We stay off of the internet. We mind our P's and Q's. We don't ruin it for the peoples out there so that they can save all of their energy, channel all of their energy, and come in here and come in hot, as they say in the industry. So welcome, everybody. Don't forget, smash that share button. Help us out. Tell more people to fan out with us. Hit that share button if you're over on YouTube, or if you have that share button over on Facebook. Justin's he's doing work.
There we go.
This is how you do it, Justin. You just put your boys on blast and you tell them, like, get in here. Let's go. Let's talk about this thing. Ethan's saying hi to everybody. Mouse Ears and Magic, welcome in, everybody. Take a second. Yeah, they're reminding you, hit that share button. This helps us over at YouTube. James is hooking us up and helping us out. Rob, thank you, sir. We're sporting the Magic Monday Lane shirt today. That we're super excited to be sporting that. And check this out. I'm sorry, guys. I know this is not Marvel related, but I hooked up a pair of authentic Piano Rob shades from Walrus Carp Clothing Company. That when you want to be cool like Piano Rob, you hit up Walrus Carp. I love the merch over there. Check them out as well.
Dude, you should wear those the whole show.
Yeah.
I should. I could be like melted ice cream Thor in the
right.
Just sitting there like this the whole time. So welcome, everybody. Jennifer is here. She says finally she needs all the answers. Dwayne, welcome. Lori, welcome. And a big shout out to Walrus Carp Clothing Company. They're awesome. I got that stuff today. I got the swag today. So really excited. So guys, this episode, Bryan with an I, Bryan from Mouse Ears and Magic already told us that 11 times, Bryan?
I don't know how many times. I lost count.
He lost count. But
You're catching me, man. You're catching me.
He said he doesn't know if he's ready. At 11 viewings, that I have to say, I'm not doing that to put you on blast, but with 11 viewings, and the man says to us, I still don't know if I'm fully ready. That is the mark of a great show.
It is.
That you can watch it 11 times and it still is pulling you in different directions. So I dig it. What is up, Matt? What's up, everybody? Hey, Francis, welcome. Thank you. James is reminding us and helping us out. My wife's show, my wife and Janet Prundle and Jennifer Carreri, their show goes up Wednesday. That's Moana Jr. Oh, I got a little feedback. The show ticks for you, event details. We'll put that up in the comments a few times today. Go support those kids. They do a great job. And let's help them out this week. They're pretty amazing kids. But guys, let's go around the horn. Just quick reactions before we get into the audience. Just as a reminder for those of you that are in the audience, we love to make Marvel Monday interactive. We've been collecting questions on the interwebs all day, but if you have a question that you want to get in there, throw it to us in the comments. If we know, we'll answer. If we don't know it, we'll speculate. And if we really don't know it, then we throw it over to Darcy.
I don't know, and I don't know.
And then we just let her answer for us. So my co-host, Bryan, man, give us your opinion, your thoughts.
I want to apologize to everybody. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. I'm having some audio technical difficulties, so I may be on a bit of a delay. It's not every weekend that you get to watch two shows where you think both main characters made a deal with the devil. Wanda might have. Tom Brady definitely did. So something's going on, but I love the show so much, but I hate that guy. I hate number 12, man. I'm so done with him. So congratulations to him, blah blah blah, but get out of my life.
Maybe he made a deal with the Sith Lord.
Oh,
They have been known to grant unnatural powers, so maybe it's not the devil. Maybe Palpatine has imbued him with power.
What's the difference?
Nothing. Nothing. So my counterpart from another universe, Markie Mark. Your thoughts on this one?
I like how it went back. They're balancing outside of, what did Darcy call it? The
hex.
The hex.
The hex.
Thank you. How they're balancing being in the hex, outside the hex. I think for all those people who thought it had a slow start, I think those fans, those viewers will be more interested in it. Oh gosh,
I mean, yeah, he is. I mean, that's the problem here.
So I think it was a really fun episode, and Vision is becoming self-aware. We'll go with that. So, and then I don't think that ending was the Luke Skywalker moment that we are being hinted at. So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I would like to address that specifically. I agree with you. That moment was not the Luke Skywalker moment.
But
it's still out there.
I need to get in on this. She was coerced into it. She was coerced. She never said it was Luke Skywalker. The interviewer is the one that put those words in her mouth. She never said it. So let's give her the benefit of the doubt here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And can we also? I don't think we can go anywhere without talking about Baby Vision. And maybe talk about who's cuter, Baby Vision, Baby Yoda, sorry, the child, or Baby Groot. Which one's cuter?
We will always go with
It's
Baby.
Grogu.
Yeah, for clarification, Baby Yoda is always okay. You don't have to call him by his proper name. We didn't call him the child, though marketing wanted us to call him the child for a season and a half. We didn't.
Yeah.
So we're gonna listen. Baby Yoda is what we have dubbed him, and Baby Yoda he shall remain forever. That's it. Yeah. And he's also the cutest, by the way, too. I'll settle that debate. So Bryan from Mouse Ears and Magic, I want to ask you this specifically because the style of the episode was something that we kind of talked about, going back and forth. Is it going to go back to purely being the sitcom? Is it going to go bounce between the two, or is it going to be outside and then we get a little glimpse in? Did you like them bouncing back and forth throughout the episode? Did it have a good flow for you?
I thought it did. At first, I didn't like it. I thought my original thoughts were that it was going to be the 80s episode and then lead into what was going to happen or vice versa. But I liked how it bounced back and forth. It worked for me.
Yeah. What'd you think, Ethan, as the everyday man?
Yeah.
Did it work for you?
So I'm trying to catch up to you guys. I watched it 3 times.
I'm only at 5. I'm only at 5.
Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
I'm getting close. Let's go.
Yeah.
You want to know something? There were interesting moments in this, and I don't know if now, as sort of the regular everyday watcher, that every moment I feel like I'm looking at every minute going, is that something I should be paying attention to? Is that something I should be paying attention to? Is that? And I get nervous. So I'm almost happy that I watched it a few times. Yeah, there you go. So I'm almost happy that I'm trying to take it in a couple more times to really understand it. There were some really interesting moments, and being sort of the voice of the people, I've got some questions that I'm sort of excited to ask you guys. I kind of held off on some of my questions in the chat that we have because I wanted to bring them to this forum because I think that they'll help sort of keep everybody sort of in the loop. But
yeah,
all to do with the episode itself. I promise.
Go ahead, Bryan. Take it away, Bryan with an eye.
If I can give everybody some advice, when you watch it the first time, just enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Just enjoy the episode.
That's what I do. Yep. Good advice.
Do not try to take too much in. Just enjoy the episode, and then when you go back, you can start to look for the Easter eggs and the things that you recognize, kind of like,
So here was the problem that we all joked about in our Marvel Monday chat over the weekend. The great thing about this show is it makes you think. But maybe we've gone with this last episode. Maybe we've also gone off the deep end, and not we 5 of us, but like we as a society. If I have to watch one more definitive TikTok video about
officially confirms Reed Richards. Oh, I'm so mad.
Like,
so mad.
Can we just like every TikToker in the world thinks that they're in the writing room for this show, and they've definitively. I've heard a definitive Dormammu. I've heard a definitive X-Men. I've heard a definitive Magneto. I've heard a definitive Professor X. I've heard a definitive. Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four. I mean, everybody is now so certain that they've watched it like backwards, and they played the audio backwards. And John is not dead, and there's all kinds of other stuff going on in the audio reverse. And it's like I listened to it with the Portuguese on, and if you translate it roughly, it means this. I have to say, to what Bryan has just alluded to, maybe we've gone a little crazy now that episode 5's come out. Maybe we have to get back to just enjoying it again and not trying to read the tea leaves on every single thing that pops up on screen.
But also, those TikTokers are getting ratings and comments and likes.
Yeah.
So, Mark, you know that from poking the bear with melted ice cream Thor.
Yo, the hate mail is still coming in on melted ice cream Thor.
Good.
But most of it, I have to also say, most of it, which I also like, are from female fans that are, many of whom are just sending me like shirtless pictures of Thor, and not even as Thor. They're just sending me like half naked pictures of Chris Hemsworth, and I'm like, that's not even him as Thor. They're like, I don't care. He's not melted ice cream. Look at that hunk of a man. Some people have really like come after me, and it's fun. It's funny. I have to say, I'm having a good time with it. I just hit me. He meant the picture of Baby Vision. I need to sleep, clearly.
Yeah, the one in the intro, seeing Vision grow
up. The growing
Baby Yoda to Yoda, or sorry, Vision. Baby Vision. That was my reenactment of Baby Vision. It's awful.
Little Uzi Vert is the new Vision. Just saying.
Yeah,
Mark wore his jersey and came to fight. See, here we go. What else? I love that Thor. Alicia's. I will say, Alicia's one of the only people who didn't attack me because she's got love for Fat Thor.
It's
the ultimate dad bod.
I definitely loved it when Tony Stark goes, "On your left, Lebowski." Or it just made me so happy, and I don't know how I didn't think of it when I first looked at him, and I was like, "Oh my god, he is the dude."
He's the dude.
He is the dude.
Thor abides. All right.
All right, guys. So we don't do a lot of recaps, but let me at the 30,000 foot view, the episode jumps in and out of the hex. We get the cool name. We get the cool name for the hex as well. But we get to bounce back and forth. Really cool 80s family ties, growing pains, Full House vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
Heavily influenced the style of the episode itself. I fanned out really hard. I'm a big fan of all 80s television. So this took me back. It was like a comfort zone for me in terms of watching. If I were prompted, I could probably break out, and Ethan could accompany me. We could sing the growing pains theme right here and now. That one was like all the feels.
All right, listeners, should they do it? Start voting in.
Show me that smile again. Don't waste another minute on the prize.
Come on,
this is where you really see the audio delays.
Yeah,
there you go.
I have the montage of me going from a baby up to current day that we can put on air to coincide with my singing.
I feel like it would be in Funko version for you.
It would be a Funko version. But the episode was really great because almost right away we start to see the imaginary construct fall apart within the very first scene as Agnes kind of breaks the fourth wall. I think now that we're going to start to see that fourth wall breaking down rather rapidly. Someone brought it up on the show that as we get further into the future, the breaks in reality are going to be harder for Wanda to see, because the technology, as it mirrors the current day, it's going to start to become harder for Wanda to detect what is under the Hex's control and what is SWORD trying to infiltrate. So you started to see that right away too at work with Monica bringing some 80s tech back into action with the drone. But I loved this episode. Bryan kind of alluded to this to say the style worked for me. If this is the style moving forward, I know it's going to make a lot of casual fans happy that we're not going to just stay in the sitcom. But I really thought they found a really nice balance, but also it made those moments where it fell apart that much more powerful. Like Vision, and this is the only thing I'm just going to say with this, Vision stole the episode for me. I think everyone in this series is just, I mean, like Golden Globes all around for all of them, that they're amazing. But Vision really stole this episode for me. That I think that that last sequence and that last scene was pretty amazing when he starts to lose. We really have not seen Vision lose his cool.
It's a powerful scene.
That was a big moment. Like in all of,
Mark, I love
much
that
in it too.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark, jump in.
I love that the Golden Globes are your high praise award. Golden Globes all around.
Let's do it.
Don't worry about the Emmys or the Oscars. Golden Globes.
All right. So listen, don't get me on my soapbox about the Oscars. I can't. Like we don't have 6 hours.
I have a soapbox right now for Hamilton being nominated for Golden Globes.
Listen to this week's United We fan if you want to catch that.
Yes, about the movie or the stage play that was recorded in 2016 being nominated for Golden Globe in 2021. So, anyways,
but Mark, I want to jump in. You were talking about the 80s drone and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I got a question kind of last minute, and it's a really easy question to answer. I think we did talk about as we get closer to modern day, that 80s drone was fairly easy for Monica to find. That hex is red now. That hex is not penetrable like it was before. I think Wanda learned what its issue was, and as we get close to modern day, technology was going to be available. We see in the trailer that big giant truck is trying to get through the hex, and it can't even do it. Like, I think the hex now can't be penetrated the same way it used to be able to. So I think that it went red because it's now a war zone, basically.
Yeah. And Bryan, just really quick too, I just want to bring it up. We're having a little bit of like an audio hiccup on your end.
Okay.
So I don't know if
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me try something.
Hear you.
Okay. I'm going to take you down for a second just to try to fix it.
And then we also have to shout out the Stark drone. That little nugget there, that was a Stark drone. So
yeah,
Stark coming back to us a little bit.
So guys, as we do every single week, we try to field questions from our people that would like to fan out there with us. We put them all in and preload them. We try to do the best that we can to get to all of them. Some of the early ones are all dealing with the same character. So, and when Bryan gets some of the audio stuff squared away, like we're going to pull him in, we can pull him back into some of these. But Bryan from House of Magic, I want to ask you this because I know this was something that we were talking about over and over again. You've gone to different places on where the series is going, the twins. You've talked about at great length Wiccan and Speed, the new Avengers. So a lot of this was really dealing with Agnes and the babies aging. So like one question that we got in some form or fashion, like what was with Agnes asking Wanda if she like wants to take over and like do a retake in this episode. What was your take on that? Because again, that was the first break of the fourth wall where she looks at Wanda and says, do you want to do that again? Should I go out? And then Vision goes, what's happening?
I thought that moment was actually was surprised by that moment. I tried not to watch any of the trailers or anything like that. I want to be genuinely surprised by each episode. And with that, it kind of took me by surprise. But it alludes to what we've been saying all along, that somebody else is helping with all this. And I still am on the Agatha Harkness thing. And she's in that reality. She knows what's going on. So that part to where she's expecting Wanda to kind of rewind it, and Wanda's like, whatever. Just let's roll with it. Kind of took me by surprise, big time.
And that's not the only sequence too. There's another sequence where she uses her power and makes the dog collar appear, and Vision's even, like he flips out and says like, why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
And then you also have when they start to fight, Wanda rolls the credits and Vision's not done with the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, Go ahead, Wolf. What were you going to say?
It just sort of seems like, I wrote this down, that it just seems like Vision seems to keep going off script, and Wanda continues to just try to play it off, especially in the beginning. There's there's that exchange, and Agatha wants to sort of take it or Agnes wants to take it from the top, and Vision went off script. He's like, I don't think you should do that. When's the last time you washed your hands? And then Wanda just simply tries to sort of play it off. The other thing that I thought was interesting within this sequence was when the two of them were getting into an argument, the babies turned into 5-year-olds. Is there any correlation to, because I did try to just mark down, so the other time that they changed was when they got into an argument about the puppy. So is there any sort of correlation between the argument that they're having and the kids wanting to avoid that and growing older, so that way everything can be resolved?
Yeah, so let's go. We can go to that right now. There was at least 6 questions about this one. So why are they aging so fast? Brian, go ahead.
Can you hear me any better?
Yeah, you sound great now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think that Agnes with the lavender, she's literally doing a witch potion, whatever you will. She's kind of going in that circular motion with the lavender. I think that's what starts the aging process. I think Billy completely controlled when the boys aged from 5 to 10. I think Billy has that power. And jumping to the end of the episode, Quicksilver's back. I think he's gonna test Tommy's speed, for no pun intended. He's speed. So I think the boys have powers. I think Wiccan did it. And I think Agnes wants it to happen.
Yeah. Sebastian and Stephanie kind of just chimed in on that as well. It says Agnes wants to play with the kids. And when Vision says, no, we're good, Agnes insists that the redo because she needs to play with the kids. And Brian, you had that good catch with her almost conjuring some kind of spell with the lavender. Like, I didn't catch that on my first and second viewing. When you said that in our private chat, a light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, "Yep, that's it." We don't know exactly.
She goes looking for the dark liquor too. She goes looking for the dark liquor.
Stephanie says, "Did anyone else feel like Agnes didn't really ask? She almost told Wanda, 'You want me to hold the babies?'" Yeah,
correct.
I felt that.
I see that as Agnes fully confirming to Wanda that she knows what's going on, and she can still get it past Vision, even though Vision's gonna ask questions. He doesn't know, but Wanda now knows.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it points to this was the other question. How was Agnes able to snap out of it, even in front of Wanda and Vision, when she asked, should we take it from the top? I think that's a clear tell that she's
not out of it.
She's not snapping out of it. She's just acting up.
She's acting like she really has been. She has been play acting the whole time. And I don't think that she's the only one. If I had to predict, I think Dottie's in on it too.
Yeah, I mean, she comes in at the right time with the doghouse. I mean, it's like she already knows what's about to happen. So, I mean, she's in on it for sure.
Yeah. So how does Agnes know what's going on? She's in on it. She's in on it. One way or another, she's definitely in on it. We've all said multiple times, if this is the first time you're tuning into Marvel Monday, everyone on this panel has said that she's Agatha Harkness. Everyone has said it. No one, I don't think there's a single viewer in the world at this point does not think that she isn't.
Well, I mean, if you don't know who she is, then welcome to Marvel Monday, and now you're there with us. No offense, Ethan, but I don't think Ethan called her Agatha Harkness until we did.
That's exactly. Now it's like second nature.
But I mean, it's the one thing I will say. I think the TikTok community has right.
Hey, also, guys, I know we're talking about Wanda and Vision right now, but I would like to bring up the origin story that is kind of happening in the background right now that a lot of people really aren't talking about.
Do it. Yep.
You Go ahead.
So, yep. Yeah. So you're seeing Monica become something. A big part of what's happening is she's becoming a superhero.
Yep.
You see it in her tests, and we don't know at this point if she's going to be Photon, Spectrum, or the other aliases that she goes by. But I'm pretty stoked about that myself.
Right. So she emits light. Literally, she emits light, and that's why her MRI didn't work, or her CT scan didn't work. That's why they're blank. I mean, the blood draws, all that is going to do nothing. And it's Monica's not hiding it. I don't think Monica knows, but she just wants to get back to work. So
I wrote down here why didn't the X-ray work? Why the blood work isn't coming? Like, is she super? And I sort of said this, I think it was last week when she came through. She didn't really get hurt. I was like, there's got to be a reason why. It's very interesting now to see tenfold. Like, okay, she's a potential person who can emit light. I like that. All right.
We got a pretty cool discussion going on right now in the comments. I just want to bring this on air for us because again, it ties into Wanda's control of the hex, and I thought Wanda is slipping in her control. The mailman was not totally in it either. The mailman has never been totally in it. Why are they even receiving mail? The mailman is sus.
Well, I wrote it down. At the end of the episode, he says, Mom won't let him get too far. And I was like, oh, this mailman's a little different.
I take that as Dennis dropping the hint like Dottie did. Like, everybody in town knows that Wanda's something. I don't know. Dennis he made it on the board. He made it on the physical board, but he is still a lost person. He's got a physical New Jersey driver's license, so he is different than Agnes from that reason. Dottie still hasn't made the board, so Dottie and Agnes are in a different playing field than the rest of the citizens, including Abilash Tandon. And I can't wait to talk about that scene. That scene was amazing.
Will we see Dottie on the board next episode? That's the question that.
I don't think so. I think at this point, a lot of the stuff that I've seen out there, I try not to dig too deep, like Helm's Deep, because I know that if I do, I'll unleash the trolls and all the bad things on the internet and spoilers. So there's a little Lord of the Rings reference, gentlemen. But I do try to do some mild digging after we have our multiple viewings over the weekend, just to get a sense of what chatter is out there. And the one thing that I have come to accept is that I think that there are multiple witches that are at work in league with someone that we have not yet seen. And I am thoroughly convinced that Dottie is going to be introduced as one of them very, very soon.
Can I theorize?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it too early to theorize? So I talked about Abilash Tandon, Norm. He works at Computational Services, and Vision snaps him out of it. And he says, we need to get her out of my head, this, that, and the other. They keep saying her. They never say Wanda. Her very well could be Dottie. It wouldn't surprise me. I would be shocked if her turned out to be.
All signs also. Bryan, Bryan, this is for you. But don't all signs point to Dottie? Agatha kind of in episode 2, Agnes sets up. She is the one to impress. She's kind of like the de facto it woman around town. Even Dottie, what is Dottie organizing? That whole event, the For the Children event, is organized by her. Mm-hmm. So I feel like she is the power behind all of this. And she's the one really driving the narrative of let's have these kids planting the subliminal messages in Wanda's head. I think that we haven't the curtain hasn't been peeled back yet, but it's her. It's got to be her.
The lack of her showing up in multiple episodes is the only thing that has this entire series hinging on her. She's married to the greatest man in town. We all know that already.
Yep.
But I want to hedge my bet here. Like, I think she means something, that I really do. But the lack of her showing up, if we're going to spend the last third of this show going after her, I hope we find out early on that.
So guys, So guys, tell us what you think of her in the comments. What's your feel on Dottie? Like, what kind of vibe are you getting on her? Do you think that Mark, am I making too much of her? Do you think that she's not as important as I'm making her out to be? Or do you agree with that assessment? Do you think that there's more than meets the eye to this woman and she's the one that's pulling the strings? Go ahead, Bryan.
Here's the deal is, I don't know if you guys brought this up. I may have missed this in the earlier episodes, but when she cut her hand on the glass and then you see her again up on stage during the magic show, there's no bandage on her hand. Like, she's completely healed up.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I missed something. I didn't see a bandage on her hand. So
James is wearing his tinfoil hat, man. Like, it is absolutely Wanda. And I mean, have you seen that 80s outfit she was in? That's not exactly threatening. So the most important thing about that is her accent's gone. She's not focused on fitting in anymore. Her accent is full blown there, and she is threatening and coming across as threatening as she's supposed to. And that scene is amazing. And I can't wait to talk about what a dirtbag Tyler Hayward is.
I liked, it felt like a throwback to Magneto, when he likes to disarm people and use the guns and point them back at the people that were originally pointing the gun at him. Yep. That moment where, I don't know if that was an intentional nod to the Fox films or whatnot, but when she uses her mind powers to take all the agents and focus on the acting director of S.W.O.R.D., it was really cool.
All right, so I'm going to be like that guy for just a second. I'm sorry. But
yes.
Where is and who is Magneto? That's a name that's sort of come up a few times now, and I've got
listen. That's on me. That's my bad, guys.
Blame Mark.
That's on me. I'm going. So Ethan, I'm going down one of the rabbit holes that I saw online. So again,
I can respect that. I just have no idea.
No. Well, I want to say this too. So again, I can't stress enough that if you go online, sometimes going to different sources that tell you definitively, like they know that the X-Men are coming in, that could be problematic too, because I'm not sold on anything. We know that the X-Men are coming to the MCU because Kevin Feige has said so. We know that the Fantastic Four are coming to the MCU because, again, they just spent all that money to acquire the Fox properties so that the first family of Marvel can come. But people are convinced that we are getting Magneto. And again, so the 30,000-foot view of this is that Magneto originally shares the parentage of Quicksilver and of Wanda Maximoff and the Scarlet Witch. In the comics, he is their dad.
Okay.
They changed that a little bit because, again, when you had two studios and there were
conflicting. I get. So essentially, Magneto is an X-Men, or in the X-Men world.
He's in the X-Men world. Yeah.
The specific film that Mark was talking about is X-Men 1 from 2000, where the cops pulled their guns and he can manipulate metal, and he literally pulls their guns out of their hands and points it back at them.
In the Fox properties, Ethan.
Yeah.
In the Fox movies, the Quicksilver that now we have. Spoiler alert. I mean, we're going to talk about the crossover, the recasting of Pietro, but the Quicksilver that you see in the Fox movies, his parentage was properly attributed, as it was in the novels, where he says in Days of Future Past. What was the one that he came in first?
Yes, it was Days of Future Past, and then he wanted to let Magneto know in Apocalypse, "Hey, you're my dad."
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't feel it best or right, so it never really happened.
Yeah. So And Sebastian bringing this up is, again, he's spot on with the books. Magneto is her dad. So that's why, again, so many people have said definitively, like, Magneto's going to come in. And
Okay.
She has different
Thank you.
parents.
I
They
apologize
literally
for going off in a different direction. But
No, they gave us her parents' names in this episode, though. Like,
Well,
I genuinely
that's why
don't believe they're headed that way.
Could
Okay.
they just be kind of like foster parents? Like,
Maybe.
you know,
Not the
Maybe.
mother.
well, yeah, okay. Not Alec, anyways.
See, Rob, this is why I love you. You're so much more succinct than I just gave. I gave him a mini dissertation to explain who Magneto was, and there you did it in 2 sentences.
He is the X-Men villain. Just like Doom is the Fantastic Four villain, just like Joker is the Batman villain, Lex is the Superman. Yeah, that's where Magneto is.
I'm sorry. Ethan's about to be more confused than the weekend tried to get out of that. So Wolf, I highly recommend this. You ready?
Yeah,
so
I'm ready.
Here's your next viewing.
Yeah.
And you're gonna thank me for this. Go back in time, fire up on Disney Plus the old X-Men cartoons.
Okay.
Brian's shaking his head. Brian's shaking his head.
Cartoons, I'm good. I thought you were sending him through
No, the cartoons.
catalog. It's
No.
I was like,
okay.
No, go back and watch the animated X-Men series from the early 90s.
Okay.
Best theme song.
You'll thank me. They're so wonderful that for a cartoon, they're so well written.
Okay.
They're so well written.
I wrote it down.
But that is honestly the best, other than going and buying comics and getting into the books, the best way that you could get introduced to the X-Men and not want to put a pencil in your eye in the latter half of the series is just to go and watch the cartoon.
All right. So, if I may, Mark, we've
go ahead.
We're about 40 minutes in, and we have touched on everything, but we haven't really talked about anything yet. So, let's jump into the questions and try and get us back on track. I'm as much to blame as this. I'm not shaming anybody.
All right.
Just to be clear, but
we
so
actually
much to talk about. Well,
believe it or not, we fielded a lot of the stuff up till now in the timeline that I have kind of planned out. We have two questions, gentlemen, that I'm gonna put them up back to back because they piggyback off each other. The first is, why are there no children in Westview other than Billy and Tommy? And then the other is, are there no other children in Westview because Wanda's control is painful, which is a great take on this, and Wanda doesn't want to cause pain to her children.
This is actually my wife's question and her sort of answer. So I'm pumped to hear your guys' perspective on this.
So I told your wife on Facebook that I had an answer. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I don't really have an answer other than what Wanda said to Vision. She said, yes, there is.
Oh.
Like when he said, where are all the children? There are no other children in Westview. And she said, yes, there is. Where are they at? I still haven't seen them.
I see. I think Wanda's just trying to get him off of the topic. I think she has noticed. However, I think we're going Halloween next week, and I think there's going to be a buttload of children walking that street trick-or-treating because I think whoever's running this is going to be like, oh, crap, he noticed. Like, I think the first thing we're going to see in those first 5 minutes is we're going to literally see that playground he was talking about, and it's going to be full of kids, which is only going to make him more suspicious than it is now. Go ahead, Mark.
Can we have some fun guessing maybe what little Easter egg costumes some of the kids might be wearing? Like, do you think we might see a old school Wolverine yellow costume in the background somewhere, something like that? Or do you think they would maybe not go that direction with it?
I hope they don't go that. I hope they go like Iron Man or something. Like, I hope they don't go X-Men. Like, my whole thing about the X-Men and the Fantastic Four officially coming to the MCU, like, the only way that's true is Marvel Studios putting all their eggs in the basket of Phase 4 working on the purchase of Fox. If that didn't happen, then they wouldn't have been able to use the Fantastic Four, or they wouldn't be able to use the X-Men. I don't think the very first project in Phase 4 is going to all of a sudden bring every single one of these people in. And the Fantastic Four thing, I just want to say this, and then we'll move on. But Monica says she knows an aerospace engineer. If you read now I told you to watch this episode with subtitles on. Now I'm telling you to watch the episode with Spanish subtitles on. Don't do that. But there is
No
when
hablo
she
español.
says, yeah, when she does say an aerospace engineer, it does say ingeniera with an A on the end of it, making it feminine and not general or masculine, which means it is a female aerospace engineer. My bet
He's on a
is
different level,
on
everybody.
Yeah.
my bet is on Mark. Do you have the pictures that I sent you? My bet
We
is on
always
We
we're
do
always
need a small
preloaded.
child dressed as Stanley. Stephanie, yes, we do.
That would be awesome. Yes. My bet is on that aerospace engineer being, I mean, it could be Sue Storm. Like, I mean, I know she's a female. My bet is on Talos' daughter, that Monica was really good friends with in Captain Marvel. That would make as much sense as anything. It also could be Riri Williams, who is the lead character in Ironheart. They have already announced her casting, and that show's still several years away. So chances are she's going to show up earlier than later. But she's not really an aerospace engineer in the comics. Like, Sue Storm is possible, but we're not going to get Sue Storm and Quicksilver in the first project of Phase 4. Like, I just don't see it happening. And it very well could be red hair by putting it in Spanish, making us think it's a female. But if it is a female, Talos' daughter makes as much sense to that. But getting back to the kids, I think we're going to get a bunch of kids at Halloween. I wouldn't rule out. We already know that Norm talked about his dad and he can't find his phone and all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't rule out this town being a ton of people that are suffering grief, that Wanda's almost sparing them from their grief. Maybe there was a tragedy that took their children or something like that. She could have this town kind of escaping the grief like she's trying to do. I think it's possible. I really do. I mean, I don't know. Like, I hope that it's not that tragic, but Wanda,
James, could you just put up the full question for all of us again, where you said, "Am I wrong about Rambo?" I don't know what was the take. What was the take, and then we'll address it in a second. Sorry, Brian, I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were.
No, you're good. Sorry. Go ahead. Somebody else go. I lost my train of thought. Go ahead, Brian.
If he's talking about, are we wrong about Rambo? Yes, they should have stopped after the second Rambo movie, if that's what you're asking. Older Rambo just did not work that well. Sorry.
I agree. Sorry about Brian. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question about the Lagos cleanup? Because the Lagos was mentioned twice in this episode. Once during the commercial with the paper towel, and then
the bloody paper towel. Ooh.
Yeah, and then Hayward also brought up Lagos as well. Where exactly does that sort of fall into the other commercials that we've seen? Like the commercials before sort of seem to have a theme almost, and now it just sort of feels like they're.
Oh no! This fits the theme just as much. This one we're going on the Wanda Maximoff trauma tour. We had the ticking bomb, we had Strucker, we had Hydra, and now we have Lagos, which you have physically seen if you have seen Captain America: Civil War, because that's the very opening scene where Crossbones tries to take Steve with him, and Wanda bunches him up and lifts him into the air, and then he explodes and kills a bunch of people. Which is what causes the Sokovia Accords, kind of in the first place, of keeping it under control. And the last line of the commercial is for when you make a mess you didn't mean to. It's brutal and it's savage and it's awful.
And I interpret it as when you see the mom kind of push the paper towel with the Kool-Aid on the table, her hands become red. I interpret it as blood on her hands.
Yeah.
I got real deep there.
Okay.
Yeah. You've had some people who've theorized that the different commercials are representing Infinity Stones. I don't see that yet. But I agree with what Brian says. I think it's the trauma tour. I think that's what every commercial is. It's just displaying various trauma in her life.
Well, and the real question is, why would they skip Quicksilver's death in commercial form? I think the answer to that is she's dealing with Quicksilver's death. That's the only part of her drama she's actually physically dealing with in her everyday life. So I think most of these other commercials are subconscious things that she's not dealing with, and she's talking about Quicksilver to multiple people. I think if you do a commercial on that, it's almost just too much. Most of these are subconscious things.
So to get back to what the comics aren't coming into play here because Rambo was Captain Marvel in them, right?
She could become Captain Marvel. I mean, she was Captain Marvel before Carol Danvers in the comics, yes, but she very well could take over the mantle one day.
Speaking of which, panel, what do you guys make of the? Should we just say the awkward looks that Monica gives when the name Captain Marvel is brought up?
Right.
What did you make of that moment? Let's go around the horn on that. Whoever wants to jump in, take that one.
All right, I'll jump. I thought it was interesting. So I just recently I watched Captain Marvel for the first time. I hadn't seen it before. I watched it for the first time, and I thought it was interesting. Like, I think that what's interesting is the exchange between Jimmy Woo and Monica. There's like, they almost like are like us. Like, they're just theorizing at times, and I sort of felt like they were saying, like, you know, who would win in a fight, and it just seemed, you know, just like banter. But there was an obvious moment when Monica was like, "Oh, I don't like what he just said," or there was something on her mind about what was said that I found a little interesting. But I like how they theorize. They sort of theorize like us about like what's going on, and I kind of enjoy that.
There's definitely some tension there. I didn't really put a lot of thought into it, other than what we're talking about now. There was some tension, maybe some anger, but I was too in depth in everything else to really put a lot of thought into that part of it.
I see that scene was perhaps the only sequence that I did not read too much into, knowing what her truth was, which was she probably has not seen Carol since she's been a little kid, because Carol's off flying through the universe. So she's probably harboring that ill will about she left. Then
Right.
Mom gets sick and she didn't come back for that event. She gets blipped and she really doesn't even see Carol come back to Earth because she was never around for that. And then, you know, I think that's just pure and simple what it is. It's just a very superficial and surface level beef that she has. That's like, you abandoned us. Like, you haven't been back. You know, like Captain Trouble hasn't seen you.
I mean, do you want to be reasonable or do you want to go crazy? Because I can go the other way.
All right, go ahead.
Do it.
Want to get
Go
nuts?
ahead.
Let's get nuts,
Crazy.
Bryan.
Mark, do you have anything before I put my tinfoil hat on?
I mean, I think you've all said it pretty well. I think she's not too happy that she's probably just Captain Marvel to her now. Abandoned her, especially in like a time of need. She would have loved that comfort coming from her. I hope Marvel doesn't cheap us and doesn't give us that confrontation that needs to happen between them, that heart to heart. So I hope we get that moment.
So again, just like last week, we are about 50 minutes in. We are going to go over the hour mark because I want to talk about Tyler Hayward and why I've changed an entire theory on this show after this week's episode. But Carol, I would be shocked if Monica hasn't seen Carol since Captain Marvel. We know Monica's been to space. Carol was a good friend to Maria. If you want to again put the tinfoil hat on, I think that exposure to something very well could have been what caused the cancer that Maria had, and Monica holds Maria responsible for that. Monica holds Carol responsible for that. I think it also could just be as simple as I've been back for 3 weeks, and it could be a simple misunderstanding of Monica got blipped. Carol spent Maria's last days with her. She died. It's still been 3 years, and Carol came back but never came to check on Monica. It could be that simple, that Carol came back and saved the Avengers, all that kind of stuff, but never came and checked on Monica. She could just be mad at her for that. I think either A, they had a confrontation in space, because Monica's been to space. We know that. Or I genuinely think this radiation can do some crazy things. Monica could have the mutant gene, and Maria didn't have it, and whatever radiation she was exposed to could have given her cancer and killed her, where with Monica, the radiation made her photon or made her spectrum or whatever her superhero name is. I think she might hold Carol. If you want to go not be reasonable and get a little crazy with it, we're going to find out. I mean, the person that wrote this line is writing Captain Marvel too. So I mean, they're setting something up.
Yep.
Interesting.
James brings up the question: aren't the stones gone though at this point? Thanos destroyed them. Did she create or recreate the one for Vision? Is someone trying to get her to make all of them?
No. Kevin Feige has said that the Infinity Saga, the first 23 films, is the Infinity Stones are central to that storyline. It's going to be referenced, yes, but again, you're starting a new phase. The last thing you want to do is make your new Phase 4 rely solely upon everything that came before it. And I mean, people want to move on from the Infinity Stones. Obviously, it's Vision's life force, and he needs the Mind Stone to live. But I think the power that Wanda contains is enough to make Vision live without needing the Mind Stone physically.
Yeah. Do we think that Wanda is as evil as they are making her out to be right now? Is there more to this story, though, than has to be told?
This is the question I've been waiting for.
This is it. Go ahead, Bryan. Mouse, ears, and magic.
No. Yeah.
No, I don't think she's as evil as everybody thinks she is. Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to. Is she mentally unstable? Yes. You can go into the House of M. Mm-hmm. We could lead into that. They have kind of brought in some stuff from that and some other things too. I can't remember exactly. What is it? The Bryan, help me out here. Crap, I've lost my train of thought. Anyway, there's definitely some. She definitely becomes a villain at some point, but we don't know if it's going to happen now or later. We don't know.
Gentlemen, I just, if you give me 30 seconds to weigh in on this one, I don't think that Wanda is. My take on this, I don't think that Wanda is as evil as they make her out to be. But I think if you look at her history in the MCU, she's experienced so much trauma that right and wrong is somewhat lost on her. That the world that she grew up in, it really her compass doesn't point in the right direction, because I don't think that the compass has a true north. It's not. She's such a different entity from Vision. That Vision always will try to do what's right. Where I think Wanda, she doesn't see the world in black and white. She sees a lot of gray, because she's seen the worst that humanity has to offer, and then she's also seen the best that humanity has to offer in the Avengers. And I think that with Civil War, I think that again. To go back to the Lagos commercial, I think that is a perfect commercial for this, that it shows kind of her state of mind is here she was chugging along as the Avenger and someone who was good. And then all of a sudden the world turned on her. And then I think that really threw her for another loop of, who out, like I was told that Hydra's bad. And now I'm being told that the Avengers are bad. I don't think she really knows what is good and what's bad. When I see her outside throwing the drone at them, I see a woman who's just been not lied to, but put through the ringer, I think by both sides now at this point. And I think that she's really she's out for her own happiness, because she cannot find happiness in the world of Hydra. She can't find happiness in the world of the Avengers. She's being told something by someone, take care of you, find your own happiness. And I think that really is her end game in all of this. And I don't think it's good or bad. I think that she's just had honey potion poured into her ear. And now she believes that, like, I've tried to do everything for everyone else and it never works. Now I want to find love. I want to find a family. I want to find the happiness that no one is granting me in this world. That's my take on it.
What do you think, Ethan?
I haven't leaned one way or the other on this. However, the scene where Wanda preaches the hex and comes out and is looking directly at Hayward when she says, "No one is ever going to take him away from me again." Yep. I just found that very, very telling of the person that we're dealing with. And I I hate to reference it because it's completely off topic, but Daenerys from Game of Thrones sort of was on that same mindset. Like, she was trying to do good, she was trying to do the right thing, but every step that she took, like, things were just not going her way, and eventually it led her down a warpath. Now, I don't know if necessarily that's going to happen to Wanda. I don't think so. However, I think that she's got the capability to do whatever she wants because she's one bad woman when she wants to be. So it's very interesting, but I did find that scene where she breached and she looked directly at Hayward. I found that very telling that she's not trying to be bad. She doesn't want to be bad, but she can be.
Bryan, are you ready for your pictures? Should we pull up Vision?
Mark, do you have anything before we go?
No, I'm excited for these pictures.
Roll the tape.
I said it 3 times on the show that she is being made out to be the villain, and maybe not primary villain, but the villain in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I do not believe that in any sense of anything anymore. You have to look at there's only one single person in this show, not even Monica, is making her out to be the villain. He's calling her a terrorist. He's doing, and side note, when Jimmy Woo says, "I don't like to speak ill of people," and Darcy says, "Let me say it for you," and she says, "Yeah, Hayward's a dick," and then it cuts, and the full sentence is, "Hayward is a terrorist." That is absolutely exactly what it is. Hayward is covering himself up. The second he found out Wanda and Vision were involved in this anomaly, he went back to headquarters because he says he has to get permission to show security footage from his own thing, of which he's the director of. He's covering his butt. Mark, if you could pull up my 2 images, please. Okay. Actually, the next one gets us a little bit closer, if you wouldn't mind. Okay. So right on the far right side of the screen, you have Vision's head, which has a gaping hole of it. In the middle table, you have Vision's torso. On the left-hand side, you have Vision's arm. We know from our previous episode that Hayward has decided to live up to sentient weapon observation and response division, and he's creating sentient weapons, even though Monica tells him that's wrong. Why would the director of S.W.O.R.D. I'm good, Mark. Why would the director of S.W.O.R.D. want to even care to know what the living will of the Vision is without having spent the last 5 years during the blip of trying to circumvent that living will and turn his body into the sentient weapon that he knows Vision doesn't want to be? He is turning Monica into this person. He arms that drone with a missile because she's the only one that can tell on him, and she hasn't fully ratted him out yet. But Wanda was not stealing Vision's body. Wanda was saving Vision's body from becoming a sentient weapon that he didn't want to be. If Vision leaves that bubble, Vision is either going to fall down and become possession of S.W.O.R.D., or he's literally going to be overtaken by S.W.O.R.D., which they cannot overtake right now. But I think the way he's living is S.W.O.R.D. did all the hard work, and she is protecting Vision from becoming that sentient weapon that he didn't want to be.
Yeah.
Ding.
That's it.
You hit the nail right on the head.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. She tells him that no one's ever, she's talking to Monica. She says, "I have what I want, and you leave me alone, and nobody's going to ever take him from me." And she turns and looks directly at Hayward, and he says, we had the missile as a precaution when he launched on her the first chance he had. The guy is a scumbag, and he's trying to cover his own body. He's trying to cover up his own mistake. He went back. He could have told Monica about this. Like, if Monica dies, that's not even Hayward's problem. He would have preferred it. Like, and I thought about you, Mark, when you said they took away her credentials so she can't go snooping. I mean, there's something to that, man. Like, he is covering up his own mistake. There's no reason he should know what the Vision's will is, and he's trying to paint her to be a terrorist, and she's not.
All right, guys. So let's get to the payoff of the episode. Maybe it was not a Luke Skywalker moment, but it was still a pretty amazing moment nonetheless. The question that everyone wanted to know is, how is Evan Peters' X-Man Quicksilver in WandaVision? I'm not even Ethan, I'm tapping out of this one. Just to let you know.
I had to ask Bryan because I had no idea.
I'm tapping out. The how. So the how of this one for me, the only thing that I would ever have with this is I'd throw it to Darcy.
I don't know, and I don't know.
That's where I'm at.
Was anybody else? I wasn't blown away by it. I don't know why, but he like
Did you
came
know
on
he was
screen.
in? Did you know he was in the show? I did. I did.
So I didn't know. I had heard. The TikTok world was saying how Quicksilver is going to be in there at some point. So, but I didn't know that. I avoided that spoiler. But when he came on screen, I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then when he started acting differently from the Fox way, I was like, "All right." He's kind of acting like a weird spin-off Uncle Jesse a little bit. I don't know.
That was the 80s. That was the 80s influence. Yeah, you got the leather jacket.
Yeah.
And
On this very special episode was the title, which that was the giveaway too.
Yeah. So I was whelmed. I'm going to go with whelmed. I wasn't overwhelmed by it. I wasn't underwhelmed. I was whelmed.
Somebody just watched 10 Things I Hate About You.
James just said, why also, just as a side note to this moment, why was there a breach alarm going off when Darcy says she recast her brother? I took that as the breach was going in. That was Quicksilver going in. That's how I interpreted it.
Right? And he did it so fast that they couldn't pick up on it?
Well, he did it so fast that it was almost instantaneous that he was through and at the door.
Right.
He's significantly faster than the Quicksilver we had in Ultron, if it's the same guy.
He can outrun a bullet. Yeah.
I'm not totally sold on that at all.
I
mean, I'm just not. I'm not. That's great and everything, but I'm just not totally sold on that. And I can't tell you why. I have to see next week's.
Well,
or this week.
Good answer.
If I had to venture a guess about why we're getting the Fox properties Quicksilver, why we're getting Pietro from another dimension, we know again that this is leading into Multiverse of Madness. We know that this is leading into multiple timelines converging. If you look at all of this stuff of Wanda's chaos, if you look at all of this with Wanda's magic, the chaos magic, the fact that she is very, very much in tune with like the dark dimension and that she has the ability to open these other dimensions, dare I would say that the children play into this, but perhaps I've seen a lot of theories that maybe this is also about weakening the doorways or the dimensional portals that is allowing Mephisto, if it is Mephisto, to slip through, space and time, and maybe that's where this is all leading. Bryan, go ahead.
So the first and foremost, let's pump the brakes on all X-Men films are now taking place in their own universe. Like Hugh Jackman's not coming through the portal next week. Like they're not gonna it's not all X-Men on the table. That's not where we're headed. We know it's headed to Multiverse of Madness. It could be headed to the point where every Marvel film counts in its own universe, all that kind of stuff where they can pick and choose. There's a reason they're using Evan Peters. There was a report back in like June that he had been on set. So I knew he was in the show. I didn't see the spoiler, which we talked about last week, which apparently this was it. Mysterio's not, that's not horrible. There's a reason Marvel's using Evan Peters. They know what they're doing. And if you listen to the audio description version of the show, it literally calls him Quicksilver from the X-Men films. So they want blind people to be as confused as the rest of us. But there's a reason they're using him. It could be a complete red herring. But everybody that says the multiverse is now open and all X-Men are coming and they've always existed, pump the brakes on that one. Like, I don't think that that's where we're headed, and it very well could be. But just limit your expectations. There's a specific reason to use a specific character.
I don't think this is the same Quicksilver as the one from the Fox movies. It may be the skin, but I don't think that's the same Quicksilver from the Fox movies. So, yeah.
If Hayward's a Skrull, Hayward can easily be this guy too. Like, they're trying to confuse the crap. They're trying to confuse the living crap out of us, and it's working. But to say this is going full House of M, and instead of saying no more mutants, she's going to say no, more mutants. Like, we're not headed there. This doesn't confirm or officially confirm Magneto Magneto's coming or Professor X or anything like that. It could happen, but
well, so Jared Welch put this one up for you. Is that Magneto's helmet in the credits, or is it Cerebro perhaps? And from the fan side, they sent this one in.
Oh no, that's Vision. That's Vision's Halloween.
I think that's
That's been.
I think it's Vision.
That's Vision.
Yeah,
that's been in every single credit.
Yep. So that came right from So that came right from our audience that we had that picture was
because the thing that is Scarlet Witch's headdress from her Halloween costume too. It goes right from that to that. Like that's Vision.
So wait, you're saying Halloween's next week?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think so.
Okay.
Oh man, like
when an animated GIF isn't enough anymore.
That's right.
I have one small complaint that I have seen about this episode, and the thing that does bum me out is the shows that we're most familiar with, like this group is the 80s and the 90s, stuff like that. Now that we know what's going on and like everybody's under this spell, like I'm a little bit bummed that we can't have as much fun in sitcomville, like because now it'd be a little bit too much. It'd be a little bit too tone deaf if we were having too much fun in the sitcom world. I wish we had gotten a few more sitcom 80s and 90s episodes before things got too real. Before we got the very special episode of Jesse Spano getting addicted to pills. Like,
I'm so excited. James is throwing back on us. He says it's y'all's fault that we have the tinfoil hats now, you jerks.
I would have taken that except for the word jerks. I thought that was me. James,
I owned that in the beginning of the show. I said maybe we collectively, the five of us, but we as a community have gone a little too far with the speculation, and maybe like Bryan and I said, maybe we all just need to get back to enjoying it because it's very fun.
I think we've surpassed the Lost crowd. Remember when everybody was trying to figure out what was happening in Lost? Then again, I think people were just trying to understand the show Lost. It wasn't really trying to figure out what's coming. But I'm not going to lie, there are times where I'm just like, can't we just enjoy the show a little bit more? And
it's very fair, dude. That's very fair.
And I think if you start looking into it too much, like you said, for the first episode, first time you watch it, switch off, just watch it. After that, if you want to switch on the search engines, okay. But I enjoy the first episode. I think it takes away the enjoyment. If you're like, oh, what is that detail? Rewind. No, the episode is meant for you to watch it the whole way through. And then if you want to go back and nitpick, go ahead.
So Stephanie just asked.
Stephanie's calling us out, is what she's doing.
Yeah. How often or how many times have you been right on one of the big twists? She says she's only at 2. LOL. Like Stephanie. Honestly, for myself, I don't think I've speculated enough.
Yeah.
Or like nothing that I've said that I expect.
Big old goose egg
has come in yet. So I mean, I'm zero.
Like that's the thing is we're only literally halfway.
Wait, Stephanie, I wanted to hear what are the 2 that you got correct. So I guess I haven't thought enough when it comes to this show. Like other things, I'm not Sherlock at any point, but Stephanie, I want to hear what the 2 things you got the bonus points for.
I got Darcy and I got Woo, and I've said a lot of other things that we haven't have proven wrong. Like Wonder Man, I still think Wonder Man's coming. Like, I do. But yeah, like I love this show so much. Like it's so good.
I'm too dialed.
So she got the same too. I got.
Yep.
Nice.
I'm too dialed into the comic books. I have.
See, that's why you got to take my comic book approach, and you got to go with the MCU, and then just branch out from there. And like,
we'll see. I try to, but I get
a little bit.
Yeah, I try to, but I'll start going down that rabbit trail, and it's hard for me to stop.
I want to come back.
West Coast Avengers West Coast Avengers number 43 from 1985. Vision is on the table, its sword spread out. Like, that was cool.
Exactly.
I want to come back to this because Rob, I think you hit the nail right on the head. Yep.
Freaking Hayward. Hayward tries to use her lack of a name of Captain America, whatever. Like, the fact that she doesn't have a nickname means she's not a superhero. Like, get out of here, Hayward, man. Like,
well, the
I
end
just kind of.
It's building to the end, Mark, right? It's what I was going to say. This is building to the end where they finally call her the Scarlet Witch at the end of this. That's it.
And
she'll probably get a uniform too.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the essence of that. It's going to build to some point where they just finally call her the Scarlet Witch. That's it. That's it.
He's trying to discredit her, man. Like, Hayward's dirty. He's so dirty.
Oh, Brian, he's so bad.
Brian, question for you. Is Hayward the actor from 9-9 that was obsessed with Amy? Is that the same guy?
No. That's
actor?
No, it's a different guy. I know who you're talking about, but Teddy?
Dude, easily the greatest reference of the night was the Brooklyn Nine-Nine reference. Thank you so much.
Brian has taken 9-9 to a whole new world with me. I can't even talk about the Backstreet Boys without thinking of Brooklyn Nine-Nine now.
Oh, we're using our made-up names. I love it. Very nice. Well, gentlemen, as always, if only for the rampant speculation, the incessant texting, the tinfoil hats, and just the fun that we have on a weekly basis. If not for that, I give great thanks to this show. And I do want to say that, Brian, I'm going to give you the opportunity because I know you also wanted to talk about this. And I know Mark is going to get super excited about this as well. One, we're only halfway through this show. And what's on the horizon...
Oh, man. Like, if you didn't watch this trailer during the Super Bowl, like, we got a 30-second spot in the Super Bowl, and it was good, but the full 2-minute trailer. So I just want to point, everybody keeps asking, what do I need to know for WandaVision, all that kind of stuff. We want to get you guys set squared away. Mark, if you could pull that up real quick. We got obviously Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson, Bucky, and then the guy in the purple mask. If you don't know who that is, that's Helmut Zemo from Captain America: Civil War. He's the main villain in that one. And then we've got Sharon Carter down there as well. And then the redhead with the mask. I don't know the actress's name, but she played.
Star Wars.
Nest in Solo: Star Wars Story. She wasn't the villain in that movie that she was built up to be, spoiler alert, but she's a really good actress. So if you get bored over the weekends after you watch WandaVision, essential viewing for Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Captain America: Civil War, and really that's it. Avengers Endgame sets up who gets the shield and all that kind of stuff. The guy in the middle holding the shield is Wyatt Russell. He's the character of John Walker. He's who the government has decided is the new Captain America, and who's the government to tell you that Steve Rogers is the wrong guy to pick the next one. So that show, and that's the coolest part about Disney Plus, is that show looks completely different than what WandaVision is, and we're gonna roll right into it, and it's gonna be incredible.
So James, I'm gonna do you one up. He's making fun of my Bridgerton affection. So I was just going to say, because we have Emily Van Camp in that poster, as a former fan of Everwood,
Castle.
not only,
of
Everwood, I get
Love
Emily Van
Everwood.
Camp and Chris Pratt right from Everwood into the MCU.
That's on HBO Max, by the way.
Booyah, right there. So you want to take my Bridgerton? I'm gonna push all in. I'm going all in Texas Hold'em on Everwood from the CW.
I think it was WB. It was WB.
It was.
CW, yeah.
It was the WB.
Yeah.
Yo.
Sebastian, we didn't touch on that. Agnes straight up is a dog murderer, and I think she was trying to age the kids up, and Agnes is trying to help Wanda. She's trying to. It was the age trope of trying to get Wanda to listen to her own advice to her kids. If you can't just run from your problems and all that kind of stuff. And Wanda didn't get the message she was teaching her kids. But I think that was the lesson that Agnes was trying to teach her. And it's really sad she killed the dog.
Well, listen, it's not every day that you get a dog and you bury it on the same day.
On the same day.
But
Phyllis, we need
true.
in the arms of the angel
life
right
moves
now.
life moves pretty fast in the suburbs.
In the suburbs, that's right.
Straight out of. I was like, oh, that's like a Ferris Bueller line right there. Love
Yeah.
it, gentlemen. Thank you so much as always. My amazing all-star panel: Bryan from Mouse Ears and Magic, the Wolf from the Wolf and Wookie. We have United We Fan, and Bryan Lee and Mark Adams. Gentlemen, thank you as always. I enjoy these Mondays. Thank you to those of you who hang out with us and you fan out with us on Mondays. Keep those questions coming, guys. If you got stuff during the week too, we love getting those text messages during the week when you just can't hold it in all weekend and you need an outlet to emote. Keep the good stuff coming. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Excelsior. And as always, we do it for the children.
For the children.
Yes, indeed.